What is up? This is Zombie Talk 123 here. We will be discussing many things today, all around the 2012 free agent class of closers. I guess it would be 2011 and 2012 class, but I'll call it 2012 for now. Now, let's look at this closer market as we entered with a ton of closing options. Of course, the Tigers exercised Jose Valverde's deal, keeping him from being a free agent. They got a good deal on him, considering how much money teams have paid for closers. Remember, the Toronto Blue Jays entered this offseason desperately looking for a closer. They wanted to go out and get a guy like Ryan Madson. They were looking at guys maybe bringing back a Fransisco. They're more interested in bringing an external option that hasn't pitched there before, a more dominant closer. Remember, Fransisco got $6 million average per year signing with the New York Mets. This is a guy who saved 17 games last year for the Toronto Blue Jays, and he's not all that young. How much money could a guy like Jonathon Papelbon, a guy like Ryan Madson get? Jonathon Papelbon, if you remember, we'll talk about him a little later, but he signed with the Phillies for a monstrous deal. Obviously, he was the best closing option out there, so the Phillies, instead of going and keeping Ryan Madson, they felt that he was asking too much money and they couldn't reach an agreement with him for a fair deal for them and Ryan Madson. They went out and signed the best closing option out there. So now what is Ryan Madson going to do? There's not as many suitors. There's definitely teams that would obviously want a proven closer, eighth inning setup guy, depending on what team it is. But, there seems like the Cardinals that would love to have Ryan Madson as their closer and keep a young, somewhat inexperienced closer like Jason Mott as an eighth inning guy. There's obviously teams that would be willing to pay a certain amount for him, but there's not a huge market right now for Ryan Madson that are teams that are willing to pay $10 million plus for him like he wanted to get. He is not going to get the 4-year, $44 million that he wanted at the beginning of the offseason, especially with the Phillies out of it. At most, I think he could get $8 million a year, and maybe a less amount of years too. So disappointment for Ryan Madson. So where will Ryan Madson end up? A dominant closer last year and a dominant setup man the years before. Where will he end up and how much money could he command? The Angels have been a main suitor for him this whole time, but really I don't see the Angels going out and spending more money as they just locked up Howie Kendrick, raising his salary per year. So that's adding a little payroll for the next few years. They already signed Albert Pujols. They already signed C.J. Wilson. Obviously, the TV deal that they got allows them to have a huge payroll. But I just don't see it right now, them going to get Ryan Madson. It could definitely change as his price tag lowers. Other teams like the Cardinals, maybe the Red Sox, the Rays have been interested in having him. But right now, his price tag is still too high. When will it go down? Who knows? That's about it for Ryan Madson, as his price tag has dropped mightily, and he's really the loser in this free agent class, as he has not found a team yet and is not going to get the contract he is looking for. One of the first closers to switch teams was Heath Bell with the Marlins this year. I mean, why wouldn't Heath Bell fit in with Miami? He's an exciting player, fan favorite. Miami, with the whole situation with Leo Nunez or Jose, whatever his name is now, they needed a closer. And even if Leo Nunez or Jose, I forget his last name, that his actual name, can close next year in the majors or not, they need a closer. They need a guy like Heath Bell for the fans to solidify this bullpen. It adds a lot for the team, and I think that they got a very good deal for him, a 3-year, $27 million deal. He's not even making $10 million a year. He's one of the best closers out there. It's only a 3-year deal. Yes, he's a little older. I believe he's 34 right now, so he'll be 37 at the end of the deal, but I really don't see this guy withering with his age. I think he's a very strong closer and a great deal for the Marlins, getting him in the bullpen for the next few years. I think he'll enjoy Miami, and I think they have obviously a lot better chance to win now. So a good move by the Marlins to get Heath Bell. If you want an aggressive GM who is known to win and he will build teams for the right now, you got to hire Ruben Amaro Jr. I mean, this guy has made so many big trades and so many big free agent signings. He's known for it at this point. Every offseason and every midseason, you expect a big trade for him. From Hunter Pence to Roy Halladay to Cliff Lee. This guy gets it done. And when he has a guy like Ryan Madson on the market, someone who's been on the team that he could probably get, I think, on a 4-year, maybe $38, $40 million contract, he goes for someone who's just a little bit better than Ryan Madson. Jonathon Papelbon, a little more proven in Boston, has to deal with the media market there. Tough atmosphere. He seemed to like it there, obviously. Very winning. Won 2 championships with Boston, 2004, 2007, and he was the best closer in the market. The Phillies signed him to a 4-year deal, $50 million, an absolute monster deal for a closer here for the Phillies. A great deal, and now they have one of the best closers in the game. More bad news for Twins fans in 2011. After suffering a disastrous season, they see, kind of their longtime closer, Jonathon, who enjoyed his prime years of his career in Minnesota. Putting up all-star years, having great numbers, over 250 career saves, and he leaves Minnesota to go to the Rangers. Now, this makes a ton of sense for the Rangers, though. The Rangers, with Natalie Feliz moving to the rotation, losing C.J. Wilson, maybe getting Yu Darvish, and now signing Jonathon, an experienced closer who can fill in there. Mike Adams as the relief role, 8th inning setup guy. I think this bullpen is obviously stellar. You signed a guy like Jonathon. Yes, he was injured last year. He only had 14 saves, didn't have his normal numbers, but I think he'll have a better 2012. They signed him at a 2-year deal, around $15 million, so he's getting paid just over $7 million. I think it's a good deal for both the Rangers and Jonathon, who hopefully will have a bounce-back year. He's 37 right now, so a 2-year deal is not pushing his limit. I think this is a good deal. Now, if you remember that night where the Mets really turned their whole bullpen around, pretty much in one night, they received Ramon Ramirez, a solid 8th inning guy for their bullpen. They also signed John Rauch, who was on the Toronto Blue Jays, and another Blue Jay teammate of his, Fransisco. Now, he saved only 17 games for the Blue Jays last year. Really solid option there. He's 32 years old. They signed him to a 2-year, $12 million contract, so $6 million per year. You can see how much money these closers are getting, but a good deal for the Mets as he will be their closer in 2012. The Kansas City Royals just keep getting better and better. In my opinion, GM Dayton Moore really gets it. I love their farm system. I mean, who doesn't love their farm system? The best farm system in America, with guys like Mike Moustakas and Eric Hosmer, running up the ladder. And Eric Hosmer had a fantastic year last year, and we're expecting to have even a better year this year. Mike Moustakas got some important experience in the majors last year. We'll see how he does this year. They have a lot of position player prospects, guys like Lorenzo Cain, who will play center field, and makes Melky Cabrera expendable. They deal him. They get a solid number 3-4 starter, lefty, and Jonathan Sanchez. And then they signed Jonathon Broxton. Now, I remember a few years ago, he's throwing 97 miles an hour. He's an all-star, Dodgers closer, absolutely dominant. Any team would pay big money for this guy. The fact is, he was injured in 2011, pretty much the whole season. He's hopefully getting back. He had a little bit in 2011, had like 7 saves or something, but in the big picture, he was pretty much injured. The season was a waste. Hopefully, he can get back in there, have a good 2012. And for the Royals' perspective, he will not close for them. He will set up Joakim Soria right now. I mean, that could obviously change if Joakim Soria gets traded or something like that. But I see an extension more than a trade, if anything, for a guy like Joakim Soria. So, Jonathon Broxton will set up. I think it's a perfect situation for him. Not as much pressure coming off. He doesn't feel the pressure playing in Kansas City, at least not yet, when they're not a playoff contending team. And he doesn't have the pressure because he's not closing. He's not signing a big deal coming off an injury and expected to close, and save 30 games a year or something like that. So, a good deal, again, a low-risk, high-reward type player, $4 million deal, gets him at a pretty bargain deal. So, this is a great deal for the Royals and Jonathon Broxton. Thank you for watching. Again, I want to first thank Sports Insight, a great channel. They report a lot of different things, and technically I'm a reporter for them. I think I made one video reporting for them so far. He made my logo, so I got to say thanks to that. But I also still want to talk about the subject here for the last, how many seconds there is. The Cardinals could be in on Ryan Madson, as a lot of teams could if the price drops. The reason why I am so for this is, number one, everyone's obsessed with Roy Oswalt with the Cardinals, and I would love to have Roy Oswalt, but only as a starter. I mean, yes, it would be nice to have him relief, but if you're going to spend, $7-8 million to have him in as a relief role, then why wouldn't you just spend that money to get a guy like Ryan Madson if the price drops? Again, that's if the price drops. Teams like the Rays, other teams could be interested. Why wouldn't a team want to be interested in a guy like Ryan Madson if his price drops? Will his price drop? I don't know, and we will find out in the next few weeks. Thanks again for watching. This is MLB Talk 1, 2, 3.